Amy, do you know that there's tensions between Ireland and the U.S.?
For what?
Exactly. What?
For what?
It's still us, Mo and Amy from the Flippin' Fantastic podcast. This is just our behind the scenes where we talk about everything and anything except reselling. Make sure you subscribe and take a listen. Bye.
That is what they said in one of the scenes in Deadly American Marriage.
Oh, that's right. I do remember that.
I thought it was interesting because before we get on the topic of what exactly happened with this case, the press and how they like to make things dramatic. Because look, I'm about as Irish, like, you know, I did the whole DNA. My Irish is like off the charts, right?
Uh-huh.
I have no problem with the Irish people, but like, sorry, most of us had no idea that this happened. I mean, it's sad, but the USA is really big. Right. I'm sure it was big news in Ireland. You know, it wasn't over here.
No.
This is the story of James and Molly Corbet, right?
Yep.
And their children.
Mm-hmm.
And James is Irish. He was from Limerick, Ireland. And because remember when we looked, we were like, what are we going to talk about? And I said this said British and the keyword tags on Netflix.
Yeah. Was it a British documentary?
No, just because he's Irish, I guess.
Oh, okay. I see. But it's about the murder of him. So
yes.
But it happened in the United States, so guess that's why it's the American murder. Yeah. I didn't understand quite why they moved back, or not back, but moved to the United States, other than she was American. But they didn't dive into that.
No, they didn't dive into a lot. It was only one. Excuse me. It was only one. You know, there wasn't any episodes or anything. It wasn't a series. It's just an hour and a half long
documentary.
I guess. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think it was like an hour and 42 minutes or something like that.
Yeah. And I feel like there was a lot left out. I was like trying to Google exactly. You know, for me, there's still like missing pieces that I couldn't, figure out.
Yeah.
I feel like not that it would change anything, but I just think there was like a lot left out on, so I was just curious, but I didn't really find too much about it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there was a lot. It was all over the place. And it left you, it was like a little roller coaster because, it would start out going, oh, she's definitely guilty. And then, oh, maybe she's innocent. Oh, maybe she's guilty. Like it's exactly how it went.
Yeah. If you want to go back and forth, for sure.
It could have been broken up. I mean, I thought it was enough, but it could have been broken up into like 3 series, or not 3 series, 3 episodes, so you could dive more into her in her like, weirdness that she had, like with the lying to the she lied about knowing the original wife that died and said that she was their godmother and stuff like that.
Well,
like,
so let's start. So she goes to Ireland, right? She's an au pair. His first wife, so James Corbet's first wife passed away when his children were very young.
Mags. Her name was Mags. Yeah.
From complications from an asthma attack or something is what was said.
Right. It was in I think the autopsy or something.
Yeah. So he, he's distraught. He's got 2 little kids. He has an au pair. She's the au pair.
And she flies there from the United States, right?
Yes.
And then they become romantically involved.
Yes,
pretty quickly,
as you do with your nanny.
As one does.
Dear Irish people, if you didn't know this, we over here in America know this because this is a giant plot to a murder story. Falling in love with the nanny.
Oh, as soon as it started, as soon as she started talking about it and kind of the way she looks, do you remember that movie that came out in the 90s, The Hand That Rocks the Cradle? Do you remember? It reminded me of that, because she had lost a baby too or something, remember? Yeah. The same situation with the au pair. Before she became an au pair, she said that she was in a like a toxic relationship or something. I don't know if that was the words, but she had lost a baby. That's what she said.
Right. That's what she says.
That's what she says. That's what she said.
So they fall in love and they move back to America. And that's where it got it started to get cloudy for me. It's like, well, like you said, like, why did they move back here? They didn't really say.
Yeah.
And
other than
like,
all they did say was that she was saying that, oh, it's a good opportunity for schooling and stuff like that. I remember she kept talking about schooling. I guess she was talking about like the education system. Maybe, I don't know what it's like in Ireland, but maybe I don't know. Maybe she was implying it was lesser than here, you know?
Yeah, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So they moved. Where did they move to? Were they in Virginia or Tennessee?
No, it was Davidson, North Carolina.
Oh, North Carolina. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And that was in 2011. I think they got married and stuff into 2011. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
So there is some question about marriage. Like, there's, from his side, his family says that he was like, let's slow down. And she was like, no, it's now or never. And so, again, didn't go much into it. That's just kind of basically all they said about it. There was a couple text messages.
Or emails. It looked like emails, didn't it?
Emails. They were emails.
Which is weird. Who emails each other, you know? other than like 2000, year 2000, maybe.
I don't know. Maybe when she was in Ireland, she didn't have a good cell plan or something. Who knows?
True. Okay.
Yeah. So there was emails, and there was like, they only showed like one, like where he was like, I'm just paraphrasing, but he was like, we need to slow down. And she was like, no, basically like, no.
Yeah, I'm not waiting.
Right. I'm not waiting.
Piss or get off the pot kind of a thing.
Right. Mm-hmm. So, either way, you didn't feel like, what I'm trying to say, I didn't feel like she was, if there were more emails like that, I don't know, maybe, but I didn't feel like weird to me. It feels like normal. Like, I can see him, he's got kids, he's like kind of hesitant, and she's like getting older, and she's like,
right,
I got to do this or I'm moving on. Like, right. I get that.
True. Yeah.
So they get married, and then they come over here, and they move to North Carolina. They had a big party over here, because I think they were already married, right? And then they just had like kind of a party.
I don't know.
Celebrating it, or did they get married here?
I was under the impression they got married here, but that would seem weird. I don't know. Maybe they did two. Maybe they did one there, one here. I don't think it really matters.
That might have been. Yeah, it doesn't matter at this point. But yeah. So they're married. How long were they married for? Do you remember?
Oh, well, if they got married in 11 and then the murder happened in 15, that would be what? Okay. 4 years. 4 years.
4 years.
But who knows how long they were together before that? Maybe 5 or 6 total. I don't know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So the night of the murder, her parents are there
in the basement,
and she starts screaming. Her dad comes in. Her mom does not get up, and her and her father say that he was choking her and would not stop. Dad hit him with a baseball bat, and then she hit him with a brick that just happened to be on her nightstand.
And it wasn't even a brick; it was a cinder block brick, like a bigger brick, like a landscaping brick.
Right, exactly.
Not even like the traditional.
A little brick.
Yeah,
not like a little brick, but like the bigger. Yeah, bigger and flatter, I guess they are. Like,
yeah, the landscaping ones. I was just like, oh my gosh, my little Scooby ears were like, brr, why is that on your nightstand?
I'm like,
what's going on here?
Yeah, the brick on your nightstand. How you keep them there.
Totally. I've never had a brick on my nightstand. Never had a brick. I mean, I've had a charging brick on my nightstand, but never a cinder block brick.
The closest I have had a brick. I have had cinder blocks in my bedroom.
For your bed?
College.
Oh.
To prop up your bed.
Yeah. True.
So you could stick stuff under it. Yep. That was the extent of it. My roommate and I went and bought some at the hardware,
Yep. That was the thing. So you can lift your bed up higher and
right. So we could
storage.
debunk the beds. We had a tiny room our freshman year, like the smallest room on campus. And so we debunked the beds and we got those. Now they have the risers, but
Yeah. Same
back
thing.
then they didn't. I mean, maybe they did, but they weren't everywhere. So we just got cinder blocks and did it.
Yeah.
So that's the closest, but that was a giant cinder block.
Yeah. So they're claiming self-defense, and you know, it looked horrific. The crime scene photos were
Everywhere.
they were like, yeah, and it wasn't just in like the bedroom. It was like on the walls, on the back of the door, in the bathroom.
Yeah.
It looked like more than they're describing, you know. And
Right.
you know, you for self-defense, you're just supposed to, you know, like you can't kill somebody for out of self-defense. You can like disengage them and stuff, but other than that, you can't go any further. Do you know what I mean? Like that's how you end up in jail.
You don't keep punching somebody after they're down, you know?
Yeah, and there were bat marks in the wall, and then there was a bat mark all the way down by like the baseboard. So that showed that they were hitting, or somebody was hitting him when he was down on the ground. Because how would you swing that low and knock a dent inside the drywall, like right where the baseboard is, which.
So her parents were there because they decided, or they were visiting, because they were from Tennessee? Was that where they were from?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's like a 4-hour drive or something, and they had decided to come visit that day.
That's what they said.
Exactly. Get into that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so originally they were tried, right, and found guilty of second degree murder.
Yeah, both of them. So they did end up in prison for like 25 to 20 to 25 years.
Right.
In prison for that.
Yes.
And then of course it goes to appeals and all that stuff.
Right.
But it's yeah. But I just like how the dad, when they interviewed the dad, like on that night, he was just like, I don't know what happened. I hit him with a baseball bat. I don't know what Molly did. I don't know what she did.
Yeah. And then you find out dad is retired FBI.
Oh yeah. He was like a interrogation specialist. He taught people how to interrogate. So he tried to according to the documentary, he tried to control the interview almost like let me lay out how I'm going to tell you what happened.
Right.
It was just like, okay.
Exactly.
I guess how do you kick that? If that's what you did for a job,
It's only, oh my God, there's like the biggest wasp outside of my window.
Oh. Outside. That's
probably
fine.
building a nest right out there.
He is.
I know.
He probably
We're
is.
gonna do something about that. Yeah. So I get it. What you're saying, like, how do you kick that? Because that's what you did for a living. Yep. So it makes sense that that's how he would conduct himself during this. But at the same time, it also, he knows how to do it. So it could go both ways.
Yep.
So you find out dad is so this is the first, so they lay out the murder. You find out what happened. Oh, and then they show the kids' interviews with so the kids had video interviews with a trained specialist. She's asking them what happened and this and that. And I do see how they sounded a little rehearsed,
Right. Yeah, they were saying stuff like, they were using like the same wording, and it wasn't like a child, like the words that how old was the little boy? Their names were Sarah and Jack. I think Jack was how old?
He was like
they
8.
were young. Yeah, they were young, but he was using like verbiage that you wouldn't. It sounds like he was in like a proceeding, like
yes,
he didn't use the word victim, but like that kind of verbiage, like a victim or retaliation or something. Like I was just like, what? Those are the kind of words that kids use. Yeah.
So it did sound rehearsed. It did sound I mean, they said that their parents were fighting, that dad hit mom like once or twice,
Mhm.
and these kids did call her mom. They did call her mom.
Yeah. But she never adopted them. So that was
No.
that
And
was
that
brought up
was a
like
point
right
of
away.
contention because that comes
Mhm.
up. So they interviewed the kids. So it's, it sounds terrible, but it also sounds rehearsed. There were a couple things where they were like, how do you know this? And they were like, well, mommy told me,
Right. Oh yeah, that
So,
was Jack. Oh, because
yeah.
apparently, like the reason it all started is because Sarah's the daughter. She woke up, had a nightmare, and Dad got mad, and
Oh,
and Jack said, "Oh,
yes.
I only know Sarah woke up because mommy told me." That kind of a
Right.
like
Yeah. Right.
leading, I guess. That's
That
what
was
started
weird.
it all. Imagine the guilt that the daughter feels, just thinking like, if I didn't have that nightmare and wake up, none of this would have happened. Type of
Right. Right.
you know,
Yeah.
feelings. Because, it's not her fault,
S-
but that's how kids are.
So at first you're like, well, okay, they did it because they go to jail. They appeal, and then you start getting this other stuff. So then you getting their side, and you hear what Dad says. We came over, and they were fighting, and he was choking her, and I hit him with a bat. And then you hear about she claims that he was manipulative and abusive, mentally
Yeah.
and physically. She said at the advice of a friend who's a lawyer, she put recording devices around the house, and they
Yeah.
only played the one where he was mad that he came home and he wanted to have dinner with his family, but the kids had already eaten. And she says, well, I asked you and you didn't answer, and I had to feed the kids or something, and he
Yeah.
gets really mad. And you're like, oh, well, maybe he is an abusive a-hole, right?
And it
Because
sounded like he hit like a table or something too.
right, yeah, like he slammed
Like,
something
yeah.
down. So it
Yeah.
definitely sounds, but that's the only recording they played. Like, if she
Yeah.
was recording all this, where's the other recordings? I would like to hear them.
Exactly.
But then you're like, oh, okay, this is where you're like, oh, well, maybe he was, because,
And the part where the dad and the mom were talking about her parents, I should say, the grandparents said that they had those code words, and they had their like, if for the kids,
oh,
if
and the
like something
number,
was
the phone number
happening.
hidden.
Yeah, and they
Right.
had a hidden phone number underneath like a doll, not a doll, but like
Mm-hmm.
a something. It was like a phone number hidden underneath like a piece of pottery, so they could call if something was bad was happening. Which I was like,
Yeah.
oh, that's kind of interesting. And to have like a secret word, like if you're like if you're having a phone call and then you say that secret word at the end before you hang up, that
Yeah. It was
means
like
that,
Peacock or something. Yeah.
yeah, the one kid was Peacock and the other one was something else.
Yeah.
That meant that, like, basically come here because there's trouble. Like, what?
Right.
There had to have been situations that, because I don't have words
I know, right?
in our
Well,
house like
that
that.
was weird. That was weird to me. The kids didn't talk like, so the adult children are on here now, or kind of adults. They're like
Yeah, like late teens.
late
Yeah.
teens. And I'm like, well, how much do they remember? How much, I don't. There is, see, that's what there is still questions like, how much do they really remember? I mean, they did sound coached on those interviews.
Yeah.
Now, that lady was so her parents, her mom, I guess, had those kids for a while before his family got them and took them back to Ireland. When all this was going down, the whole court and everything else,
Right.
them getting put in jail,
Yeah.
prison. And what I'm trying to say is little kids are like, just like she could coach them, other people could coach them too.
Right.
So while I don't know if there was abuse or not, like, it goes both ways. So
Mm.
I'm trying to say this because this is how you're feeling when you're watching this, because you're like, oh, well, she coached him, but did they coach him too? You know what I mean? Like, it almost makes you feel that way for just a little second, because, you know. that's how little kids are. And
Mhm.
you know, a lot of kids forget their trauma, which
Yeah.
is probably better.
Right.
Oh, so we forgot to say this. Before they got married, or you started to say it. When they were getting married, like one of her friends gave a toast about or started or the party was talking about how she was his late wife's friend over there, and that's how they met and
That
all
she was the
this. Like,
godparent. Yeah,
yeah,
which
and
is
then there is some question where she may have told some people that she was actually the daughter. Sarah was the daughter Sarah.
Sarah was the daughter.
She was her actual mother.
Right. She told like people like in the neighborhood that like she was given a birth story of when she gave birth to Sarah.
Yeah, yeah.
Which, yeah,
So
creepy.
yeah, so
Like,
that was. I'm like, oh,
uh,
this chick's unhinged.
mhm. I don't understand why you lie about stuff like that, especially when you can be easily sussed out. Like all you got to do is like have a conversation.
Right,
Like you got to keep
right.
your husband away from all these people then you're lying to, because all you got to do is say, "Oh, Sarah told us this crazy story," or Molly told us a crazy story about her birth, and then he'd be like, "Excuse me, a what?"
Right, and what was he? Like,
Mhm.
was he? Like, but it was too late, like, he's already in this, like, you know what I mean?
I don't know. Like the
Or
yeah.
here's the thing, it's like, was one of them crazy? Was it her? Was it him? Or was it a little bit of both? Do you know what I mean? Like, it
Right.
could be that too.
True.
This could fall somewhere. I mean, I'm not saying about the murder thing,
Right.
but it could be somewhere in the middle. Like,
Yeah.
a lot of toxic people find each other.
True. True.
So
Yeah.
so her and her father appealed this, right?
But
They get a new
the
lawyer.
kids went back to Ireland, but they went
Yeah,
and
so
lived
they're in
with
Ireland. They're
Jason's
living
family, Jason's
yeah,
sister, I think.
his sister and her husband,
Yeah. They
I'm
basically
assuming,
like
right?
adopted them. Yeah. I
Yeah.
guess they basically adopted them and started
Mhm.
they had a little tribe because they already had kids and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
that's when they
So they
recanted their story, their abusive story. You
right, the kids
remember?
did.
Yeah.
So they said now I do think that Jack was the son was old enough to know. I don't know.
Oh,
She
Sarah.
was only like 4 or something.
Yeah, she was young.
So I
Yeah.
don't even know if she like knew like sh to me, she only knows what everybody's telling her right now.
Right.
But he can know something. Like you're 8, you'll remember stuff like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Um,
totally.
so that's, so yeah, they recanted their story. They had a different story. Now over here, their lawyers, Molly and her father's lawyers are saying, well, like, because they're like testifying or like recanting their story on camera, and there's a psychologist there, but they're like, that's not a licensed trained court. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I guess there's certain protocols and
Yeah.
procedures to do that, which I get, but
Mhm.
it
Yeah,
is
they
what
just
it is.
and then they did
Hmm?
some digging into yeah, they just thoroughly investigated things, and they investigated the death of Jason's first wife, and it
Right.
like basically kind of like came to the conclusion that the asthma attack was kind of secondary, was a secondary issue, and that she was choked, allegedly choked because or strangled,
Yeah,
because there was damage
something
to the
about the
inside.
autopsy said something about her bronchial tract
Uh,
being
but
damaged or
I
something.
don't know. So and then of course, they're like, oh, that's what happened to Molly. She was choked
Hmm.
too, and they were saying you could see like fingerprint mark, or not fingerprints, but
Like
fingernail
fingernail. Yeah, because they
nicks
said
on
so.
her.
Yeah. So I went because she didn't have any bruises. So I went and I looked up, and that can happen, where you don't have like this outward, but it does damage. I
Yeah,
don't know why you won't get like necessarily get a bruise there. I don't know like what your physiology is to do that, but like that can happen where you don't have this outward, but you have like an inward damage. Oh, and they found out. They said people that are being choked often wet themselves.
oh yeah,
So
that's
they
right.
checked her pajamas, and she had.
Yeah.
I mean, but I don't know. I might also wet myself if I just
Yeah.
crushed the skull of my husband with a brick.
With a brick.
You know?
True. Yeah, that's true.
I might do that.
Yeah.
So,
I had to
there was questions there. Oh, and
Yeah.
then the cake topper of this was that her dad said that at some point when they met Jason's parents, that his dad, in his very thick, uneducated, I think, accent,
Yeah. That's what he
told
said.
him he thought it wasn't, no, I'm sorry, it wasn't Jason's dad, it was his first wife's parents. He
Right.
said that her dad told him that he thought Jason killed her.
The first wife, yeah. Yeah. But then he later said, I never said that.
Right, and he testified under oath with like a lawyer or solicitor, whatever they call him over there, that he never said that.
Because they retried it. They won their appeal. It went all the way to the Supreme Court of North Carolina.
Yeah.
So they got a new trial.
Yeah. And
then they got convicted.
So what they get? They got manslaughter charges, right?
They got on the second time around. Was it manslaughter? No, I think they plead. I thought they plead. They took a plea bargaining.
I think they pled manslaughter, right? Lesser.
They plead down, and it only ended up being like 4 or 5 years, but then they got time served from the years that they were already in prison. So they were out.
So they're out. Yeah.
Yeah, they're both out now. But I guess like part of the agreement was like Molly can't contact the kids, which I mean, I understand. And plus they live in a different country too. So it's
I looked around. Well, they did say that she was posting on social media for the kids, like, but you know how people are, like, and they were just little kids. Were they looking on Facebook? I don't think so. You know, I miss you and this and that after they got taken over, and she was, out before. I think this was when the kids got taken by his family, but before she was in jail.
Yeah.
But I did a little bit of digging because I just watched this yesterday. I did a little bit of digging. Supposedly, I don't know if any of this is true. She had you know how at the beach around here you have the banner?
Oh, the like flying.
Apparently she had a banner plane flown over their city where they live. I don't know if that's true.
And it said what? What was the writing?
I don't even know if it said what it said. They just said supposedly she had a banner plane.
I wonder if it said "Mommy loves you," Sarah,
something
and Jack.
like that, probably.
Like that, yeah. Oh.
And then what was the other thing I read? So we forgot to point out that also for this retrial, they dug up that he had been to the doctor for anger issues. And had talked about anger issues with a doctor.
True. That's true.
I do want to say people like her. Now, people throw around like when you're looking this up, people throw around narcissist. I think people throw around that term. There is a clinical diagnosis of narcissism. I don't know that she's a narcissist, but a lot of mental illness has elements of narcissist. Like you have narcissistic tendencies where you don't see. It's more like people think narcissism, they just think of like somebody with a giant ego and who's a jerk, right?
Yeah.
But like when you're mentally ill, like those tendencies are just like that. You can't see other people's point of view. Like you literally can't. You know what I mean? You don't see anything but what's going on in your head. But anyway, I don't know that she's like, I wouldn't diagnose anybody, but I don't know if she's narcissist or if she has like more of like a borderline, like she's got a personality disorder probably.
Right. Yeah. It never crossed my mind to think that she was narcissistic at all. Like I didn't get that vibe.
Like as soon as you look this up, it's narcissist.
I didn't get that.
People love using that word. Like people, oh, my ex was a narcissist. No, they weren't. They just, you probably both sucked. And that's why you broke up, right?
Right. Yeah, true.
So he had anger issues. She was on some sort of sleep medication that was in his body at the time of his death. So there was, did she drug him? There's that, she drug him before this. But I do think she has mental illness because like, the lying and the, some sort of personality disorder or whatever.
Yeah, that
Well,
lying,
I
the
did
lying
look up
bit
and they
is
didn't say
crazy.
that. Yes, that lying was
Mhm.
crazy. So I
Yeah.
looked up I just was like, there's not that I think that it changes my opinion, but I just think there was like missing pieces in this. Like, there's more that I wanted to know. Supposedly, before she went to Ireland for the first time, she was hospitalized
Oh.
for mental breakdown.
Oh, okay. Like independent. This wasn't in the documentary. This was like
No, and I
independent.
was like looking it up. So that's supposedly true.
Hmm.
I don't know. Allegedly. The
Yeah.
other thing is that she has a hold on, I gotta look him up. I thought I had it up, but you know what? It was on my other.
Also, just like watching this, and we're also watching the Karen Reed trial. But Karen Reed was detained too by the hospital for a section. What is it called? What is it?
Right,
I don't know
but
what
her
it's called
parents had called.
there.
They were worried. Her parents had. Yeah.
So it's kind of like, I'm like in my mind, I'm playing like devil's advocate. Like, well,
Oh yeah. Exactly.
like
Yeah.
what's going on?
Well, okay. So her ex fiance, his name is Keith Maginn. He wrote a book. He's got several books. You can look. It's Maginn. You can look him up on Amazon, and he's got
Mhm.
several books. One of which is supposedly they're like self-help books and like how I found my way and all this that kind of stuff, but
Uh-huh.
supposedly one of the books is at least the first chapter is about his toxic relationship with her.
Oh, interesting.
So I thought that was interesting,
Yeah.
and again, not in the documentary.
Well, yeah, that's why I was like, oh, they could have done like a 3-part series to like go into, you know, the
Right, a little
weirdness
more
of the weirdness of her pre-life up until like, oh, let's go. I want to be an au pair. Like that's where it could have ended. That's first one. Her
right,
life history.
exactly. So
Yeah.
he supposedly has at least a chapter in one of his books about her. She
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, there's no doubt that they did it. It's just
Yeah.
we don't really know what led up to this. I saw some theories and it kind of crossed my mind too. Now, supposedly, that was the other thing. Supposedly the parents had plans that night that they went to the daughter's house. I can't was this in the documentary?
Yeah, it was. It was. They
That
had
they canceled
they
last
had like a
minute and they
party
drove
plans
4
or something.
hours to her house because
Right.
they just said they just decided to go.
Yeah.
But the plans were canceled last minute, and they drove to the house, and, there's questions about how long he had been dead
Oh,
before
I
the
didn't.
cops were called.
Oh,
And I can't
yeah.
remember, was that in there?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't in there at all.
So there's questions about how long he was dead, and like, did she kill him, call her parents, and then
Like staged it, kind of a
make
thing.
up this whole story? Did they,
Oh.
did dad take a fall for her?
Oh,
You
I
know,
see. I see. I see.
he
Yeah.
was like, was dad like, look, I mean, because he's ex FBI, he knows how to, he knows all about interrogation, he knows all about questioning and all that. Did he say, look, you're going to go in and you're going to say this, I'm going to take some of this and I'm going to, give this
Right.
story?
Now I'm like, oh, did they do in my mind, I'm like, oh, did they test the bat to see whose DNA was on it? Was the dad's DNA on the bat?
No, I
Was,
mean, they never did any, I mean, they didn't
you
say
know,
they did any of that.
that's interesting. Yeah, because what if he's like, okay, we're gonna come there. Me and mom are gonna get in the car. We're gonna drive 4 hours. We're gonna come there, hang out. No one's going upstairs because that's where the dead body is. And then we're
Yeah.
gonna go to bed in the basement like normal. And you
Uh-huh.
go upstairs. You put the kids to bed. Keep the bedroom door closed. And
Right.
then at 12:30, I'm gonna hear a ruckus, and then I'm gonna come
Uh-huh.
upstairs and I'm gonna not touch anything, but then I'm gonna call
Exactly.
911. Oh, and
Yeah.
then they started talking about do you remember in the documentary that I forgot who was talking about it, but they said, oh, they were the 911 call, they were doing CPR, and they were like, it's when you're doing CPR, you're winded and stuff, and you're not like 1,
Yeah,
2,
CPR is hard.
3, 4.
Yeah, right.
So then they were like, they weren't doing CPR on him. There was no way.
Right.
Yeah, it is hard. It's exhausting. That's why when you do CPR, trade off. You have a partner to trade off with
Right.
because it's
Yeah.
it's
Yeah. It's
exhausting.
hard.
Mm,
It
yeah.
makes me, I shouldn't laugh. Poor dead guy. But
Yes.
Amy, did you ever watch The Office where they learned how to do CPR?
No, I didn't. I've only
See, of
seen
course
like
not.
2 seasons. No, I started watching The Office, but I think I'm only on season 2 or 3. I don't know.
This
I
is a
need to get back
later.
into
This
it.
is a later
Oh, okay.
episode, and
Gotcha.
they have to do CPR for a reason because
Oh,
of something,
okay.
and so they have the lady comes with the CPR dummy,
Uh-huh.
and Kevin, he's the big guy. He goes like 1, 2, 3, call it. I'm done.
Oh my
But then they
gosh.
start dancing because she was like, "Oh, staying alive." And they're
Oh my.
singing it. And they're
Yeah.
all dancing.
Staying alive. That is it. That is it. Staying alive.
Yeah.
Now I'm sure it's like Baby Shark. I think it is. I think Baby Shark is one of the new ones.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, no!
I am not
Stop.
singing Baby Shark in my
No,
head doing CPR. Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
"Staying Alive" is the perfect one to remember, and the beat is, apparently the
Uh,
right, you know.
I could talk about that too, but so I want to
But
know,
yes.
did you guys watch the series? What did you think? Did you think it was missing stuff? Did they could they have touched on more? Should it have been
Mhm.
longer to, hear more, or was it too long? I don't know. Parts of me were like, maybe because it wasn't long enough, I felt like they just kind of like surface level touch stuff, and I just thought
Yes.
it didn't like grab my attention really. I think because they just didn't delve too deep. I don't know. I
Right,
could
and
have.
that's why I was, like, immediately online, like, looking for other things because, like I said, it didn't change my mind.
Yeah.
Like, I don't feel like there's stuff missing to say, "Oh, she really was this horribly battered woman, and he," she
Mhm.
was defending herself.
Yeah.
That's not change. I don't think I'm changing my mind on that. I just think that there's some in between, and that, you know,
There's more to the
she's
story.
she's obviously cuckoo.
Yeah.
I mean, was he doing well? Was this, this rebound after I mean, do you call it a rebound after your wife passes away? Like, was
Right.
he just desperate and, lonely and wanted somebody for the kids? And was he, did he drink too much and was kind of an a-hole sometimes? Like, is
Yeah.
there something a little more there or less? I
Mhm.
don't know. Do I
I
think he
know.
deserved to be murdered? Absolutely not.
Right.
But,
Oh,
there
I
there was
know.
it's just like that crime junkie when you get a little taste and they don't give you enough of it.
Well,
There's too
yeah,
much there was too much missing. Like, I wanted more details.
I agree. I agree.
Mhm,
It should have been longer, touched more.
mhm,
So you let
yeah.
us know, guys. Did you watch it? Did you enjoy it? And with that, stay sassy. Bye.
Thanks so much for watching and check out more of our videos right here. Stay sassy.